Good afternoon, everybody. Happy Sunday to you. This is Carla Nelson, creator of Black Fashion World Foundation, and I have another session today with Princess Ronke. Princess Ronke,
Good afternoon.
welcome. Happy
Hi,
birthday
Carla.
to you.
Good
Oh,
afternoon. Although
oh,
it's evening here in London, but
yes, yes. Oh my gosh, it's always such a pleasure to talk to you. I'm gonna miss, this is session 3, but I'm gonna miss these weeks talking to you.
it's been amazing, The sessions have been amazing. And we don't need to stop here. We can have so much more.
That
There's
is
so much to
so
talk about.
right. As a matter of fact, since you said that, I think that's the perfect thing to say. Because we've talked about a couple of sessions.
Yes, we
Last week, someone mentioned doing head wrapping. So you said, if I understood, you agreed that you would do a head wrapping tutorial.
Yes, I would. We would invite some experts in the field and they can come and show us, how to do that head wrapping. But yes, most certainly.
Awesome. Okay. And so we're gonna do that. We're gonna talk about a date for that. We also talk about something that I briefly mentioned to you, but I'm going to tell everybody who's on the stream today. But I'll talk about what we said first about masks. Talking about face masks, African face masks, and what they really mean. So I think you said maybe around Christmas we could talk about that.
We could talk about that. Yes, we could talk about the face masks as well, because yeah, Christmas is the best time. Why not?
So with that said, I'm going to tell everybody there's a couple of events coming up, and one of those events is coming up around Christmas. The date right now is for Friday, December 18th. So you want to be sure to watch the event calendar, because what we're going to do, you'll be the first to hear this. Black Fashion World is going to actually make a book. It's going to be a collector's edition book about the face mask. So what we are going to do is sponsor a contest. It's going to be a face mask design and cover model contest. So whoever designs the mask and models it in a way that it really just captivates the essence of what we're experiencing right now during COVID, that individual will be featured, on the front of the book, the
Wow,
collector's
that's
edition.
fantastic. That's amazing. Oh, wow, I can't
Yes,
wait.
yes. So
I cannot
anybody,
wait.
yes. So by the end of the week, this week, I will have details on my event calendar page about how people can register, when they can make their submissions and everything like that. And I'm looking for some sponsors who would really like to make some contributions so we can add something to that contest. Also,
Mm.
I want to say anybody who submits their mask and models it, submits their picture, they will also have the opportunity to appear in the book. But there will be only one cover model.
That's fabulous. I like that idea. And can submissions come from anywhere around the world, or is it just
Um,
limited to the USA?
right now it's US.
Okay.
Um, but let me do some investigating
Okay.
IRS wise and see if, because that's what I'm up against with that. Other than that, I would say no, it's open, but IRS wise, right now
Okay.
it is open to US. But let me
Okay.
I'm investigating. Who
Mm.
knows what might
Okay.
happen?
Okay. We've still got time on our hands anyway. It's still December, so
We
we could
do.
do our findings before
We
then.
do. We do. So stay tuned. Also, I'm excited because I want to say that legendary fashion, fine art, documentary, street style photographer Jamel Shabazz will be joining me for a conversation. So you want to stay tuned for details about that too. He's made enormous contributions to the fashion world, capturing the moment. So you want to stay tuned for that too.
That's great.
So
Amazing.
with that said, Princess, for anybody who is joining today, we want them to know exactly who you are. Don't forget that other title with the king and the tell them exactly who you are. I know they say let another man praise you, but you have to tell us who you are. Don't be bashful. Tell us about you, tell us about your organization, and then tell us a little bit about Fashion Futures.
Okay, Carla, thank you so much once again. I'm Princess Ronke Ademiluyi, and I'm the founder of Africa Fashion Weeks, London and Nigeria, a platform that we use to showcase our heritage through fashion. And we also use it to educate people about the culture of Africa as well. We've been going on for 10 years now. 10 years in London, 7 years in Nigeria, and for me, it's just like there's so much to discover about African fashion. As I mentioned in one of the series, and we have 3,000 tribes in Africa. Each tribe has its own culture of fashion, so there is so much going on, and that's what we do at Africa Fashion Week London. And we're happy to be partnering with Carla, for the Motherland series. And I'm a princess of the biggest tribe in Africa, the Yoruba tribe, for the Yoruba kingdom, the ancient kingdom of Ile-Ife.
Mm.
Yes, so yeah, that's everything in a nutshell. They're fashion futures. So we have an online course that we're running called Fashion Futures. It's in collaboration with Henley's Business School UK and Parsons Design School New York, and it highlights the future of fashion. It's 6 days of intensive learning, and if you are interested, it's details can be found on our website www.africafashionweeklondonuk.com. And we offer scholarships as well. So please feel free to apply.
Awesome. Oh my gosh. Okay, you all have to check that out. So, Princess, over the last 2 weeks, well, this is week 3 now. So, in week 1, we discussed African textiles. We discussed the kente cloth and other African fabric. Incredible session. Week 2 just built on the foundation in week 1. We talked about what to wear for what occasion and the hierarchy as it's established in the African community. And so this week, oh my, we're going to be talking about cultural appropriation.
Yes, we are.
So let's dive right in. Oh boy, here we go.
Cultural appropriation.
Yeah, so some people call it misappropriation, but cultural appropriation, what really is cultural appropriation so anyone listening can understand it? I can't say I always understood it. So talk to us about that.
Cultural appropriation. It has so many arms and legs to it. But I think the best way to describe it will be it's defined in the dictionary as when you use something from other cultures that's not yours, and sometimes you show no respect to that culture, you have no understanding of the culture, and things like fashion, music, language, lifestyle are all subject to appropriation. Some examples are like there's a cultural dominance, where an imposing dominant culture is imposed on a lesser culture. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. There's also cultural exploitation as well. We're taking something that belongs to a lesser culture for the benefit of the dominant culture. And today I'm going to be discussing things around African fashion, how it's been appropriated, how it's regularly appropriated, because when culture is concerned, Africa fashion plays an important role. And in Africa, our tradition is our fashion, our culture is our fashion, it's our identity. Everything about our culture revolves around our fashion as well. And since I'm an expert in the field of African fashion, I'm going to be discussing appropriation, but in terms of African fashion and African culture.
Okay, so when we talk about cultural appropriation, how does it economically and socially impact Africa, impact us as a people?
Okay, I'll talk about the damage that it does to Africa first, and I'm going to use the Ankara fabric, which I call the wax fabric. I'm going to use it as an example. So the Ankara fabric, which people perceive to be an African fabric, was originally not a fabric of Africa. we had our own indigenous fabrics, like the ones we spoke about, the ashoke, the kente, the mudcloth, to mention a few. The Ankara fabric found its way to the coast of Africa by default. It failed to meet its initial obligation when it was created. So it was created for the Indonesian market, but it failed to do well there. And then the manufacturers found an unexpected market in Africa. The manufacturers then exploited the storytelling of the African patterns and the symbols and incorporated these into the Ankara fabric and mass produced them and sold them to the masses, for their own personal gain, for their profit.
Right.
Yeah, the introduction of this fabric, it had a huge effect on our local fabrics because the Ankara fabric grew so popular until today. If you markets around Africa, especially the sub-Saharan Africa, are full of shops selling the Ankara fabrics and our own traditional heritage fabrics. They're just them that we spoke about in series one. They've just like kind of collapsed. They've been abandoned.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and a lot of people's beliefs and traditional symbols were being put on this new fabric.
And that brings up the question, with that happening,
Yes.
are they desecrating the meaning behind our garments? The
By
symbolism?
using, yes, so by using the patterns and the symbols, the traditional symbols that have so much meaning to us, and putting them on these new on the new Ankara fabric that they introduced then. Yes, I think in a way they are, because to them it has no meaning to them, but they just saw the popularity of it, and how it benefits Africa in terms of the symbols and the patterns, and they put
Right.
them on these fabrics and they sold them back to us.
Horrible.
So it wasn't out of genuine interest, but it was out of personal gain and profit.
Mm.
Yes.
Is there any way to put a number with um the amount that has been misappropriated from Africa in regards to the fashion industry?
Is there any way to put a number? Hmm. Before we talk about the number, I think we have a few images of
Okay.
yes, let's show some images of what we have.
Should I move forward?
Yes, let's move forward a bit, so that we can talk about, the social impact that it had on
Uh,
our culture.
yes, sorry. Yes. I'm
Yeah,
getting
because
excited.
because as the manufacturers started using these fabrics to tell our stories, localizing them to resonate with our beliefs and our traditions. And before you knew it, the whole community started to abandon the indigenous prints and fabrics, and everyone embraced this new fabric, the wax fabric, the Ankara. It was embraced by everyone. Yeah, so how do I put it? Everyone wanted this wax print. It became an element, of clothing and fashion for Africa. It defined the appearance of Africans. And only recently, yes, only recently did a lot of individuals and designers discover that the origin of the wax is not actually African and how it actually landed in the coast of Africa. So a lot of people did not know that for a while, and designers were using it. Like I said, it defined our appearance, and it kind of did it destroy our culture? It led to the abandonment of our indigenous textiles. It adopted our clothing communication tradition, and it became the most used African fabric in the world, and apparently it wasn't even ours. But however, we do have a few designers like Makio from Nigeria and Abubakar Fofana from Malawi, who are at the forefront, of reviving the use of our indigenous textiles and fabrics. They use a lot of that in their designs. They use the indigo dyed fabric in a lot of their designs.
Mm.
Yes, and I think we have some of the pieces here, as you can see, designed in England, made in Ghana. Yes, and if we still have a few more. You see, what I said about it being sold in shops in all markets in Africa, this is what you see there. You hardly see any of our indigenous fabrics. And that's another one as well. And as you can see, this is one of the factories where it was made initially, I think in Holland.
Hmm. I wonder. Wow.
And yes, you can see, and like I said, a lot of individuals and designers didn't know that the African wax or the wax print was not originally from Africa. They embraced it because it it defined the appearance of Africans. When you're seen wearing this, people automatically know that you're from Africa, or you have some links to the African, culture, continent, or yes. So yeah, so it's cut across all segments in Africa, whether you're of the high class or the middle class or the lower class, everyone wears the wax print.
I have a question that I have to ask. It's kind of off topic,
Okay.
but I see this young lady carrying this luggage on her head. I have to ask, and the thing is, it's not even sitting up straight. It's leaning, but it's on her head. She clearly has no concern about it falling off.
Well, it's not gonna fall. It's not gonna fall off because they know how to balance it very well. It's
That's what
balanced
you
very
call it.
well on her head. She
Okay.
hasn't got her arms supporting it, so they do know how to balance it very well.
Why? I'm just curious. I saw this and I just had to ask. I don't mean to be off topic, but then again, it's on topic because we're talking about our culture here. Why do we carry? And another reason personally because I have a neck injury. So I think about this and I'm thinking, when do you start learning to carry these items on your head? Is there a certain balance? And clearly there is. And then two, how do they keep from injuring themselves in doing that?
Something you've been doing from a tender age, that you've been
Uh,
doing from when you were young, it just becomes common practice. It becomes normal to you. So the way
uh,
they balance it on their heads, it doesn't injure them and it doesn't fall off.
I apologize, but I had to ask that question. And I pray when we do go to Africa, that I'm
Mm,
able to experience that just a little bit.
yes.
But now back to the fashion.
Yeah, so you asked about if a number can be put on
Yes.
what's been misappropriated from Africa in terms of fashion. In monetary terms, I don't know how we can achieve that, but in terms of African fashion and culture, appropriation, we see that happening in mainstream every time. It's a reoccurring theme used in the Western fashion culture, and it's due to its endless opportunities that we have in Africa. Where do you start from? Like I mentioned, and I always mention this, I'm proud to mention this, that we have 3,000 tribes in Africa, so it's, yeah, and each tribe has its own fashion culture. And mainstream designers are always looking for the next thing to enhance their collection, and where would be the best place to go to or to look at for that? It has to be Mother Africa.
Right.
Yes, so that's where they look to get a lot of inspiration. And traditional African fashion, of course, has contributed immensely to the global fashion industry. And we're going to be looking at a few of the mainstream brands here and how
Okay.
they've incorporated, African fashion into some of their collections. I know we had the Burberry, there was a Burberry collection in 2012, and they revealed that they drew their inspiration from Africa. Yes, that was the Burberry collection. Yes. And I know in 2017, the Louis Vuitton, said they got their inspiration from the home of modern civilization, which is Africa as well. And that was it. That was what inspired them, to do their collection for men
Oops.
in 2017. In 2014, Emilio Pucci, yeah, made use of African patterns and included African beading in his designs. So there's so much. I know in 2015, Valentino showcased its collection, and it was inspired by the wild tribes of Africa.
Yeah,
So,
that's a headline. But go ahead.
yeah,
This is one of the pictures.
yes, and in 2016 as well, Christian Louboutin collaborated with the Senegalese artisans to launch Africaba tote bag. And we would love to see more collaborations like this, where it actually benefits the owners of the culture. We know that in 2018, there was an issue with Matthew Williamson, who used the Ethiopian traditional chemist dress for his runway collection. The dress, I don't know if okay, so that's Stella McCartney. Yes,
Yeah.
we also had Stella McCartney as well, in 2000, and I think that was 18, and she used the African prince in her I think in her Paris runway show, and she was accused of appropriation as well.
Oh, well, Matthew is. Matter of fact, let me read one of the comments that.
Okay.
Let's see. This was a comment that the Huffington Post shared.
Okay.
Ratu Ture, founder and owner of the contemporary African clothing website Guiatas Porto, said there is nothing wrong with using commercial African prints, but that the appropriation lies in trying to redefine ownership, failing to acknowledge smaller brands and those from an African heritage who wear such prints and designs on a daily basis.
And that's what appropriation is about, when you don't acknowledge or you don't respect, the owners of the culture.
And so this the Huffington Post again, British Nigerian model and actress Ekhu Edward,
Okay.
forgive me for the pronunciation, one of many who responded by comment on McCartney's Instagram, explained that just because the cloth was originally called Dutch wax doesn't mean its evolution in West Africa can be discounted.
Exactly. Yes, I totally agree with her. Yes. Because like I said, along the years, they redefined what they initially had in mind, and they used a lot of the traditions, the beliefs, the symbols of Africa, was incorporated into a lot of the print. And that's why it survived them for 170 years. I mean, 2017 alone, it made a turnover of 400 million. Yes, so.
And then this was Marc Jacobs with that was the Hammerstein Ballroom where he used the wigs, the dreadlock wigs.
Wigs, yes. Yeah, so yes, so there's like I said, mainstream designers draw so much inspiration from Africa, and we would love to see where they can collaborate, rather than just take from Africa, but collaborate with some of the African designers who've actually been working behind the scenes to put this the African fashion and heritage out there. And this is the dress that we spoke about, the Ethiopian, dress that was used by Matthew Williamson. And the dress is Ethiopia's national dress for women, and it was wrong for him to have used it in his collection because it's a symbol of faith and national pride in Ethiopia.
And I understand the government there was actually the Ethiopian Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Oxfam was actually investigating him.
Yes, because it was perceived as a lack of respect, for using someone else's culture, and the Ethiopian community were really offended about this.
I do have one question that came through. Janice said, "Are the Senegalese bags made of authentic fabric?"
Are they made of authentic fabric? I know they have the Dutch fabric with in them. I don't know what type of fabric was used, but I know it was a collaboration between some Senegalese artisans back in Senegal. So it must have included some, indigenous Senegalese fabrics, maybe handmade fabrics, to be working with the artisans.
Okay. Um,
So there's so much going on when it comes to appropriation, it's and it's a subject that's been talked about for so long, and we're still going to continue to be talking about it because there's, like I said in the beginning, it has so many arms and legs as well, and so many definitions, and there's so much, that you can, appropriate, knowingly or even unknowingly.
and that's yeah, that and knowingly and unknowingly. When
Yeah,
someone when someone appropriates the African or any other culture for that matter, um,
exactly.
fabric, fashion, unknowingly, and then someone brings it to their attention. What do you think they should do? I don't, do you have any thoughts on maybe the collaboration?
Yeah, the collaboration, the intention behind it. So yes, so why was it used? And was it to learn about the culture, or was it just for, profit? Was it just to create wealth and profit for yourself? And these are
Mm,
the things that need to be spoken about. So if you do want to use somebody else's culture, then it will be good to collaborate with the owners of the culture. If it's for like yeah, if it's for profit reason, why don't you collaborate with them and you can learn more about the culture and then how to respect it and how to use it well so it's not misinterpreted, and you don't use it in a disrespectful way, because the owners of the culture will be able to guide you on how well to use it, that it doesn't offend anyone.
well said. Black Panther. Um, we're forever grateful to Chadwick Boseman. I've seen, matter of fact, there was an unveiling. I saw a headline this week where Disney did an unveiling. Not sure where, but it was beautiful. And someone unveiled a picture on a wall, and I believe in the Brooklyn area yesterday. Beautiful. When So we're forever grateful to him.
Yes, we are.
Um,
May his soul continue to rest in peace.
yeah.
Mhm.
When Black Panther came out, the first version, there were questions or comments making along the lines of, were we as African Americans appropriate? We were dressing to go see, we brought out such pride. We were dressing in our African attire. The question came about, were we as African Americans culturally appropriating African fashion in doing so? What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on that are, how do you appropriate what belongs to you?
Mm,
African Americans were Africans, before they became Americans. So, and that's why they're called African Americans. Africa is in your DNA. So, how do you appropriate what you already have? you know African fashion. So by saying African Americans, were appropriating African fashion when Black Panther came out, to me, I don't think that's right. I think they were just honoring their heritage, the same way that they did with the kente. you know
mm,
Thanks to the African Americans, the kente is a symbol of pride, and it has become a hallmark of African Americans. So you can't take what you own. You can't appropriate what you own already. And a lot of African fashion culture was lost, as African Americans had to abandon their own fashion culture during the early years of, in the United States, of arriving in America. So they do have a right to their original culture, original fashion culture, which is African. Do you understand that the point I'm trying to get at?
I get it loud and clear, and I hope people watch this segment. I think this is going to be one of those, as my friend Bardo says, the voice bop pops. I'm saying it all wrong. We call them snippets. I think you in the UK call them voice pops or pop.
Well, yeah, but that's my in my opinion, that's what it is. It's like you saying an Indian American, or an American of Indian
Mm,
ancestry wears a sari. How do you say that person will be appropriating the Indian culture when it's
mm.
Indian is in their DNA? Do you understand? So I don't think so.
Bardo! Oh my gosh, she's on. Bardo heard me. Oh my gosh, thank you, Bardo. Boy, box. Pops, thank you, Butter. I love you. Oh my goodness, Butter. What time, Butter? What time is it there? Because she's in London. You're in London. She's in UK. You obviously are the same time. Look, I have to put this up so everybody can see the Vox Pops.
Vox Pops.
Thank you. So I have a question for you. Janice said, I'll put it up.
Okay.
She said, so what is the take on Rihanna's wearing of the Pope's hat for her outfit at the Met Gala? And then 7:30. Okay, same time. And then the Guado mentioned she believes that it might be from original Kemet religious attire.
Okay.
Are you familiar with anything? I don't know. Wish I had a picture really quick of the hat, but I remember the Pope's hat that she was wearing the year Rihanna. Thank you, Porto. I love you. Yeah. So the Pope's hat.
Yes, the Pope's hat. Yes.
So Janice, are you only referring to the Pope's hat that Rihanna wore, or the Pope's hat in general?
In general.
I know there's a little bit of a delay here, so let me see. Oh, that's the end. I'll leave that picture up since it's such a nice picture. It might be a delay when she comes over. Matter of fact, I remember seeing the Pope when he came to the U.S. Oh, okay. She's saying, did the Roman Catholic Church come out? Oh, Bardo is looking for the picture now that the Pope's hat is originally taken from. So maybe we'll have to do that. That just brought up a conversation we might have to do a little bit of research from. It would be interesting to know of
the origin of the Pope's hat.
Yeah. Yeah, because it was a high. Okay, so Janet was responding. She's saying she was referring to the Pope's hat that Rihanna wore in high fashion. So we'll have to look into that.
Yeah, we'll have to do a bit of research on that and see where it actually came from, because you never know.
That's interesting. That's a very interesting question. Thank you, Dennis, and thank you, Bordeaux, as well. The Vox Pops. Okay, I got to put this back up. So yes, as I was saying, your comments, your thoughts on how can we as African Americans be culturally appropriating something that is ours.
Exactly.
I love that response. I am going to pull that snippet when I share snippets pops from this conversation about that.
Yeah, to me, I think you're simply paying homage, to traditional African fashion and acknowledging its origin. And that's what I think. I don't think you're appropriating African fashion by African Americans wearing traditional African fashion. I don't think so. Because like I said, Africa is in your DNA.
Absolutely. And I think you've already addressed this factor, but I just want to bring it up again. The wearing of our attire. It seems that it may be strictly for the dollar versus really trying to learn about us. What are your remarks on that? What is your heart? What would you like for people to know about that? About wearing our attire without really understanding.
I think for the producers of fast fashion or mainstream designers who know nothing about African culture and jump on the bandwagon just because it's popular, it's all about the dollar, and what they're doing is simply taking what is not their own, and they're benefiting and they're profiting from it, And I know there's been a lot of people voicing their opinions, about this on social media. It's been said that it's wrong for mainstream designers to take cultural African fashion, that are symbols of tradition and pride, and infuse them, in their collections on the runway as if it's their own. A lot of that has been said without giving any reference to the owners of this culture. Some have said it's seen as a lack of disrespect, to the African communities who actually own these cultural pieces that they're showing on the runway. Others have said there's always a disconnect between the original cultural piece and then what the mainstream designers actually put on the runway. And some have said mainstream designers believe that African cultural fashion is not really fashion, so it's easy to take and use without no significance to the culture that it belongs to. And so for me, yeah, for the mainstream designers and the people who use it as fast and fashion, it's all about the dollar. But for those who wear it, to connect with the rich heritage of Africa through fashion, and for me, that is cultural appreciation. So they appreciate our culture and they seek to
Mm.
learn more about, the African culture, in an effort to broaden their perspective and connect with others.
Well said.
Yes, that's so. It has two ways. It could be cultural appropriation, for the dollar, or it could be cultural appreciation, for wanting to learn more about the African culture. And what better way to do it than fashion?
Absolutely. And then they can turn those dollars around and put them into both of our organizations to help us empower our
Exactly.
people.
Yeah, we can empower young creatives within the fashion industry. We can educate
Absolutely.
them, about much more representation of Black people within the fashion industry.
Absolutely. Mm. This has been so good. I want to ask anyone, I know there's a bit of a delay, but we will get that. Do you have any questions for Princess Ronke? Do you have any requests for her? Tell us your semester, your classes. Um, they can follow you and how they can find out about, like, you have fashion, can't talk all of a sudden, fashion futures.
Fashion futures.
You weren't able to have the fashion week this week, but you worked this year, excuse me, in COVID, but you're working on that, of course, for next year. And what are some of the other educational courses that or workshops that you offer with Africa Fashion Week?
With Africa Fashion Week. So this year we were supposed to start our cultural exchange program, with for students, where we were going to be taking students from, universities here in the UK to Africa and then doing the same as well. But because of COVID, we
Mhm.
weren't able to do that. And then next year with yourself, we're going to be planning our fabric sourcing trip to Africa, where you can see all the markets and all the fabrics, and you can participate in the looming, the weaving of the kente and the ashoke as well. So there's so much, there's so many opportunities that
Gail, Gail, if you're on, did you hear that? Go ahead. I'm sorry. I just thought about her. Yes.
Yes, and then we also have our education in fashion. We're mentoring a lot of students, Black fashion students, from universities here in London, and we've been working with Northampton University, mentoring some of their fashion students, pairing them with some experienced African designers within the industry, and we intend to extend that to other universities as well. We're also looking at working with some white fashion educators, so we could
Yeah.
have like books, create educational references, that represent diversity within the UK's fashion industry. So those are things we're working on as well.
Okay. So I have. Hey, Gail. Okay. So Bardo says highly recommended the Fashion Futures course, partnered with Henley Business School, Parsons School. She is endorsing you.
Oh,
Completed the
wow,
course in
amazing.
early
She
July
actually
this
said,
year.
oh, that was the first one we had. Oh, amazing. Thank you.
Yes.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yes. Janice says, Princess Ronke, please tell what is the significance of the tying the wrapper? Which side for married versus single women, etc. Hmm.
Okay, I'm going to have to get back to you on that. I have to do my research on that. But I will.
See, y'all, you know what? You ladies are helping us create our future sessions, our future
Exactly.
conversations.
Yeah.
So this is
So which side
good.
is for married and which side is for single? Okay.
Wow, I didn't even know that
I didn't know that
existed.
as well. I didn't know that. But yeah, we'll do our research on that.
And then I'm just leaving up that endorsement of the fashion futures. Yeah, and then we can even talk about the jumping of the broom too.
Yeah, we can talk about the jumping of the broom. We can talk about so many things,
Oh my
so many
gosh.
topics we can talk about regarding our culture. There's so much.
This
Mhm.
is awesome. Well, Princess, this has been awesome. Another phenomenal session. Um, Last chance, anyone, if you have any questions or comments or requests on any segments that you would like to hear about. As I mentioned earlier, um, okay. As I mentioned earlier, we are going to do a session. We're going to talk about a session on African masks and what they mean. I think that's appropriate around the holiday, around the time that we're discussing our, for anyone who did not hear, the COVID um, collector's book that we're going to put together with the cover model contest. Again, check my website later in the week so you can find out more details. Princess, I will get back to you after I circle back with attorneys and IRS on if I can open it up. Well, I actually would love to do that.
It would be amazing, and then
Um,
we could see masks from all over.
I really you just open, yes, you just really open. Thank you. This is why, iron sharpens iron. This is why you always want to connect with minds that are going in the directions and elevating, that will elevate you in the way that you're going, because you can't do everything all alone. And just in talking with Princess and her being in London and me being here and her say, hey, is it open? Do you have to be in the United States? That just, and the comment she just made, I would love that. So I'm going to figure out what the guidelines are in regards to that, and I will get back to you. I would definitely love to open up to a global contest. I think that would be
Yeah, I think that
phenomenal.
would be, yeah, it will be phenomenal. I totally agree. And we can see, different masks and different interpretations. And I think it would be amazing. Yes, why not? So do your
I'm going to
research
find
and
out.
see if you can open it up to a global market. And, let's do it.
I'm going to
I
find out.
At Africa Fashion Week, we love collaborations. We always collaborate. So most certainly we'll be willing to be a part of it.
Awesome. Well, again, this has been phenomenal. Stay tuned until we come back again. Look out for the course on the tutorial on the head wrapping.
The head wrapping tutorial. That's going to be, we're having that in October, right?
Yes, we're going to look for October.
Yes. And October is Black History Month in the UK and Europe
Yes.
anyway, so it's the best time to have it.
Awesome. Well, this
Yeah.
has been phenomenal. Princess, do you have any closing remarks in regards to cultural appropriation and what people should keep in mind when they're thinking about wearing our garments?
I should just, I think they should just take a step back and actually think of what their intentions are. So, what are the intentions behind it? Do you want to learn about the culture? Do you appreciate the culture? And if you are doing it for profit, there's nothing wrong with doing it for profit, but at least collaborate, with the owners of the culture you want to appropriate, so they can guide you on how well to use it, so you don't offend anyone, you don't disrespect anyone while you're doing it. So for me,
Awesome.
it's just the why. So think of the reason of why you want to do it, the intentions of why you're doing it, and yes.
Oh, gosh. All right. Well, thank you, Princess.
Thank you, Carla. It's
Sending you
been
much love.
amazing.
Sending you a COVID hug. And we will
Thank
chat soon.
you.
And thank everybody for joining as well. Stay tuned
Thank
for more.
you. And thank you, everyone. It was a fabulous session, another great session. And thank you for all the new things that you've highlighted that we're going to do research on, like
Yes.
the tying of the wrapper. I'm going to get on that now once I once I go back to work tomorrow. All right, Carla. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me, and
Thank
thank you
you.
for reaching out to Africa Fashion Week London to be a part of this.
Thank
We
you for
really
being a part.
appreciate it. Yes, thank
Talk to
you.
you soon. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.